O.J. Simpson, the American football star and actor who was acquitted in a sensational 1995 trial of murdering his former wife, but was also responsible for her death in a civil lawsuit and later imprisoned for armed robbery and kidnapping, has died at the age of 76. Simpson was cleared by a Los Angeles jury in what the U.S. media called the trial of the century. He died on Wednesday after a battle with cancer. His family posted on social media on Thursday. Simpson avoided prison when he was found not guilty in the 1994 stabbing death of former wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman in Los Angeles. Simpson later served 9 years in a Nevada prison after being convicted in 2008 on 12 counts of armed robbery and kidnapping two sports memorabilia dealers at gunpoint in a Las Vegas hotel. Nicknamed the Juice, Simpson was one of the best and most popular athletes of the late 1960s and 1970s. Now, the former NFL star and broadcaster's athletic achievements and fame were eclipsed by his 1995 trial in the brutal killings of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. Simpson assembled a dream team defense for the trial. The proceedings captivated the country with tens of millions of viewers tuning in at home and at work. Take a look back at the life and times of O.J. Simpson. We are now joined by the SABC correspondent in the US, Ira Spitzer. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's a death, of course, that has taken many back many years ago, just to recall the life and times of O.J. Simpson. In taking to social media and perhaps getting some response across the US, what has the reaction been?
Well, I'm joining you from San Francisco, which is the hometown of Orenthal James Simpson. That is O.J. Simpson's actual name, although, of course, we all know him as O.J. Simpson. And this is somebody who has been in the spotlight in the American consciousness for many, many decades. First, of course, as a tremendously gifted athlete, somebody who was dominant in the National Football League. He then went on to have a very successful acting career, starring in Hollywood movies, as well as serving as a pitchman for various companies. And then, of course, his most famous act was something that is a tragic episode, which is his potential role or his involvement in the deaths of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, as well as her friend, Ron Goldman. Now, he was accused of those murders. He was acquitted in a criminal trial, but of course there has long been this speculation and this belief among many people that he was actually guilty, and that was he was also found liable for their deaths in a civil lawsuit by the Goldman family. So, of course, we all know these facts, but with the passing now of O.J. Simpson, there's this question of how to remember this somewhat complicated legacy, somebody who was so well known, but also who represented for many people something that was wrong with the legal system, the fact that he was acquitted. That was a trial that everyone in the U.S. at least remembers somewhat vividly if they were of a certain age at that time. And it wasn't just the trial, it was also the immediate aftermath of those killings when there was when O.J. Simpson and his friend were driving in Simpson's Ford Bronco in Los Angeles for hours and hours, and this was all nationally televised, millions of viewers watching that at home. So in terms of how to sort of remember O.J. Simpson, that is really being worked out as we speak. We've seen expressions of sympathy for certainly for O.J. Simpson's children. A couple of those children were ones that he had with his ex-wife, Nicole. We've also seen sympathy expressed for for Nicole Brown Simpson as well as Ron Goldman. What we haven't seen much of is sympathy for O.J. Simpson himself, of course, because it is still a controversial topic. But we've seen statements, for example, from the National Football League referencing his achievements on the field, but really not saying anything about him as a person because of this complicated legacy that he has.
Yeah, a complicated legacy indeed. What has his family said? How have they handled this passing publicly? And of course, some of the details on his battle with cancer.
Right. The family released a statement on social media earlier, and that is how we all learned of his passing. Was from this statement. It said he was surrounded by his children and grandchildren at the time of his passing. He was 76 years old at the time, also saying that he died of cancer. They didn't specify in that social media post what kind of cancer nor exactly where he was at the time. He was a resident of Las Vegas, Nevada, towards the end of his life, and he was active on social media after he was released from prison a few years back for after being convicted of armed robbery over the episode where he tried to recover what he said was some stolen memorabilia. So he was sentenced to prison for that. He served almost 9 years in prison. After he got out of prison, he then was active on social media, posting videos, and in all of those videos on social media, if you looked at the comments, you could see how people were continually still angry with him over the deaths of his ex-wife and Ron Goldman. So, of course, that situation dogged him until the end of his life. But for his children, they did appear to have a positive relationship with their father, and according to that social media post, were with him at the end.
You say he was active on social media, but we do know that the public's fascination never entirely waned around him. What would you say were some of the works that he did, post his NFL career and a lot of the acting roles that he may have taken? What did he do after that?
Well, he's very well known for his appearances, for example, in the Naked Gun movies, the series of comedies that your viewers may be familiar with, where O.J. Simpson played a comedic role. He also was a spokesperson for Hertz rental cars, so he was very much on Americans' television screens after his NFL career, and he was a broadcaster, so he was very much somebody who was everyone seemed to know who he was. People were he was very admired. He was very well liked, and that was what sort of made the accusations of murder just that much more shocking. Is that this was somebody who people really felt like they knew because of his appearances in film and television. So it really was one of these moments that where the public perception of a person just completely shifted overnight. And then, of course, the actual trial, which lasted for the better part of a year, that was this very dramatic situation where everyone knew the names of the key witnesses and the judge and the defense attorney. These were all people that it really was considered by some some of the beginning of reality TV, in the sense that people saw how fascinating watching something like that, a real life event unfold live, could be to television viewers. So again, without saying much in that trial, I believe the only words that O.J. Simpson ever said was during the trial was when he tried on this glove that was similar to the one found at the murder scene, and saying that the glove didn't fit, and that sort of sparked the famous words by his defense attorney, Johnny Cochran, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That the jury obviously sided with O.J. Simpson and his legal team in that case, and said that there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. But of course, many people still wondering, well, if it wasn't him, who exactly carried out these acts? And then, of course, he was found liable in the civil trial for their deaths. So in some ways, he was held responsible for those killings, although we of course don't know what happened, and he was never convicted of those killings.
Yeah, and we never will know. But thank you so much for that, SABC correspondent in the US, Ira Spitzer.